Every sports betting expert tells you parlays are a scam. Well, they're not always right, and the math proves it. I'm going to show you a parlay strategy that uses heavy favorites at an average of minus 300 odds to multiply your profits by 5 times compared to betting them straight. Same exact picks, same 83% win rate. The only difference is bet structure. By the end of this video, you'll understand why most parlays lose, the only situation where parlays mathematically crush straight bets, and the exact framework I used to compound a bankroll 5 times faster. So let's go ahead and get into it. If you open YouTube right now and search parlays, almost every video tells you what? Parlays probably are a scam. And the math always favors the house. These videos are half right. Most parlays are losing bets. The math is brutal for the average bettor who plays 8-leg parlays on Sunday looking for a lottery ticket. But here's what those videos won't tell you. When you have a proven edge on heavy favorites, parlays don't just beat straight bets, they crush straight bets in a raw expected value. I'm talking about a strategy where the same picks placed as parlays make 5 times more money than when they're placed straight. Not theory, math that you can verify with a calculator. The reason every other YouTuber avoids this conversation is because the strategy requires real edge on individual bets. Most YouTubers don't have that edge, so they tell their audience to bet small at minus 110 and call it a day. I'm going to teach you the parlay strategy that only works when you have a documented edge on heavy favorites. If you bet plus money underdogs, this won't help you. If you bet minus 110 spreads and hit 53%, the math works differently. But if you've been hitting heavy favorites at 80+%, like I teach on this channel, this is the math that changes how you bet forever. Let me show you the exact math, real numbers, not theory. We are comparing two bettors who hit 83% of their picks on heavy favorites at minus 300 odds. That's the win rate my tracker shows for properly filtered heavy favorites in the minus 250 to minus 350 range. So let's go ahead and look at bettor A and bettor B. Bettor A bets 100 straight bets at $100 a piece, each at, let's say, average of minus 300. Each winning bet at minus 300 pays about $33. Over 100 bets at an 83% win rate, this is what that looks like. You'd win 83. You would lose 17. So on the winning bets, you would make 2,766. On the losing bets, you would lose 1,700, giving yourself a positive mark of $1,066. And this is over 100 bets. Now that's a 10.66 ROI on $10,000 wagered. That's elite professional numbers. Most pros are happy with a 4 to 6% ROI. This is the boring, slow, methodical approach that works. Straight bets at 83% on heavy favorites produces real compounding returns. Now let's take a look at bettor B. Now he does 100 two-leg parlays at $100 each. Same picks, same 83% win rate per leg. Both legs are at minus 300. Now with 2 legs at minus 300, you get the average odds about minus 129. That means you're making about $77 per win on your $100. Now the true probability of hitting a 2-leg parlay at 83% per leg is about 69%. The sportsbook's implied probability at minus 129 is about 56%. So your edge on that parlay is about 13% in the positive. So now over 100 parlays, let's go ahead and do the math of what you would get there. You would win 68.89 of your parlays and you would lose 31.11, which would equal out to $5,339. And you would give back $3,111, given a profit of $2,228. And of course, this is over 100 bets, same thing as bettor A. Now, as you can see, the parlay bettor makes more than 2x what the straight bettor makes on the same pick. Now, the crazy thing is here, both are still profitable because the key is here, you still got to find plays that have a true probability of at least 83%. Okay, I'm going to put that up here because that's the big thing. Needs to have at least a true probability of 83% to even make any of this work. Now, the 2-leg parlay, yes, you're up what? Double the amount you would be on straight bets. Now, the thing is, when you make this a 3-leg, okay, but the same numbers with the same percentage here, now you start making exponential growth here, okay? Now your growth goes to 3x, 4x, depending on the odds that it ends up spitting out for a 3-leg. So you can essentially see that parlays can make more money long term if you have the right formula down for it, okay? Because most sports bettors don't have this formula. I'll just put it that way. They don't have this formula down and they don't understand that. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit later in this video exactly why that is and why they don't understand that you could actually win doing it this way. Now, don't get me wrong, both work, okay? And both produce money. But one is to build your bankroll while the other is to slowly build income so you could actually pay yourself with it. That's the difference between the two here, okay? But they both are profitable, speaking from the numbers. Now, I know what you're thinking. If the math favors parlays so dramatically at 83% win rates, why do most parlay bettors go broke? There's 3 reasons why. All require discipline most bettors don't have. The first one is the math that I showed you assumes an 83% win rate on the favorites that you're playing. So they have to have a true probability of 83%. They have to. Now, at that win rate, that's an elite win rate that needs to be documented and attract edge. Now, most bettors don't have that edge. They can't find these plays. They have no idea how to find these type of plays. So instead, what they do is they bet underdogs at plus 150. They bet random minus 110 spreads. They bet player props they haven't even researched. Their actual win rate is closer to 48 to 52% most of the time. At a 50% win rate on parlays, the math completely flips. You destroy your bankroll 4 times faster than betting straight. Parlays only work when you have a proven edge on individual legs. The first requirement, like I said, is it needs to be at least 83%. That's the minimum. Because if you don't, parlays are going to destroy you faster than any other type of bet. The next thing is the strategy that I just showed you requires minus 300 odds. That means betting heavy favorites that win 80+% of the time. Most parlay bettors hate heavy favorites because the individual payouts, they look smaller. They want plus money. They want 6-leg parlays of plus 150 underdogs paying 30 to 1. That math doesn't work. Plus 150 underdogs hit it maybe 40% with proper filtering. A 6-leg parlay at 40% per leg has about a 0.4% true probability. And when the sportsbook prices that, they price it around plus 6,000 to 7,000, which means that's an implied probability of 1.4 to 1.6%. You're betting against yourself by a factor of 3. So the second requirement is make sure you're betting heavy favorites of at least minus 300 and up per leg. Remember that, that's per leg. Because this math only works at high win rates. Even at 83% win rate, you could lose 4 to 5 parlays in a row because that's variance. If you bet 10% of your bankroll per parlay, a 5 parlay losing streak costs you 50% of your bankroll. Most bettors don't survive that drawdown. So the third requirement is you need to bet 1 to 2% of your bankroll as your unit size to be able to do this. So for example, a $5,000 bankroll, you'd be betting what? $50 to $100. Because in that case, a 5 parlay losing streak costs $250 to $500, which is recoverable and is survivable. When you check all 3 boxes, parlays become the highest edge bet type in sports betting. Now here's the parlay strategy that I use to compound bankrolls 5 times faster than straight bets. Step 1 is going to be track win rate for over 100 plus bets. Before you place a single parlay, you need to prove you can hit heavy favorites at 80+% consistently. Bet 100 straight bets on properly filtered minus 250 to minus 400 favorites. Track every result. If your win rate is below 80%, stay on straight bets and refine your filtering until you hit 80+%. Now, if your win rate is above 80%, now you've earned the right to start building those parlays. This is the gate. No tracker, no 100 bet sample, no parlays. The math doesn't work without documented edge. Step 2, just stick to 2-leg or 3-leg parlay. The math is incredible at 4 legs, but variance starts becoming brutal. At 83% win rate per leg, you could still lose 8 to 10 4-leg parlays in a row. 2-leg parlays produce the most consistent compounding because the variance is manageable. 3-leg parlays produce more profit but require larger bankrolls to absorb the longer drawdowns. My personal preference, 70% of my parlays are 2-leg, 30% are 3-leg. I almost never go to a 4-leg because the bankroll volatility isn't worth the slight increase in the EV. Now let's get to step 3 is use heavy favorites only. Every leg and every parlay should be at least minus 250 to minus 400 that you would bet straight at the same odds. No stretch picks added to be able to boost the payout. If you wouldn't bet it as a straight, then you don't add it to your parlay. The most common mistake is adding a plus 150 underdog just to boost the payout. That single underdog destroys the math. You went from 83% per leg to 40% per leg on that one outcome. the whole parlay's true probability completely collapses. Discipline applies inside parlays as well. Every leg must meet your individual betting standard. Now let's get to step 4 is to keep your unit size 1 to 2%. Variance on parlays is higher than straight bets, even at an 83% win rate. So use 1 to 2% unit size at a $5,000 bankroll, which is $50 to $100. That's what you would allocate for your parlay. An 8 parlay losing streak costs you $400 to $800, which is recoverable, and the math ends up getting a chance to play out. A $25,000 bankroll uses $250 to $500 unit sizes. Same percentages, same protection. Never go above 2% per parlay, regardless of how confident that you feel. The math works on volume, not on individual conviction. Now let's get to step 5 is compound your wins. When you hit a parlay, your bankroll grows. Recalculate your unit size based on the new bankroll size. A $5,000 bankroll becomes $7,500, then your unit size grows from $50 to $100 to $75 to $150 per play. Same 83% win rate, same parlay structure, but each winning parlay is bigger because the bankroll grew. This is how heavy favorite parlay bettors actually build wealth, not in one big hit, over months of compounding small edge into bigger and bigger wins. Let me show you what this actually produces over time. Let's say you start with a bankroll of $1,000. Your strategy is to do 2 leg parlays of -300 and hit an 83% win rate, and each of those legs are at least 83%. Your average odds for that parlay are going to be -129, which means you're going to make about $77 per $100. Your unit size is 2% of your bankroll. You do 1 parlay per day. After 30 days, your 1,000 becomes $1,078. Doesn't look like much, right? But let's keep going. Let's go to 90 days. Your 1,078 becomes 1,252. Now let's get to 180 days, where your 1,252 becomes 1,568. Now let's go to 1 year, your 1,568 now has became 2,460. Just like that, in 1 year, you were able to take 1,000 and turn it into $2,460, which is what? Almost 3x your money. Okay? Almost. That type of return, you're never going to get anywhere else. Not in stocks, not in anything. You're not going to get a return like that. And that's why I always preach too, is the money aspect is what makes the difference. That's at a $1,000 bankroll. But now if you have a $5,000 bankroll, obviously that's bigger. If you have a $10,000 bankroll, that's bigger. You have a $50,000 bankroll, then that's bigger. The more money you have, the more money you're going to make. That's the name of the game. Now, I do need to be clear about what this strategy is not before you place a single bet. This strategy is not for plus money parlays. The math only works at -300 odds per leg or similar heavy favorite pricing. If you're combining plus 150 underdogs, the math is completely different and almost always negative. This is not a strategy for 6 leg, 8 leg, or 10 leg parlays. Variance destroys you beyond 4 legs, even at 83% win rate. Stay at 2 to 3 legs. This is not a strategy for bettors without documented edge. If you haven't tracked 100 plus straight bets and proven you can hit heavy favorites at 80+%, this strategy will destroy your bankroll faster than any other approach. So make sure you have the tracker, you have the proven edge. Then you start building your parlays. And this is not a shortcut overnight. Even at an 83% win rate, this strategy produces 50 to 100% bankroll growth per year. That's elite professional betting territory. But this is not turn your $1,000 into $100,000 in a weekend. If you're looking for that, then you're in the wrong video. This is a strategy for bettors who have proven they can hit heavy favorites consistently and want to compound that edge faster and quicker than what straight bets allow. If that's you, this is the math that changes everything. Now, the crazy thing is being able to research and find those plays, like the one key factor that I told you of where you could actually find win rates above 83%, might take you all day long to be able to research. It might take forever. But luckily, I came out with the Linemaker AI, which will literally spit out the exact parlays that you need to put together within seconds. So let me show you real quick what that looks like. In the Linemaker AI, it's as easy as this. I typed in, find me the best player props with odds of at least -300 and 83% hit rate. Look how simple this was. In a matter of seconds, it scanned through the MLB player props and literally spit out exactly all the parlays for MLB and NHL, what was going on at that point, with the hit rates, and it gave it to you within seconds. You didn't need to guess, you didn't need to actually do any work. All you had to do was type it in and the answer was spit out for you. That right there completely changes the game, and where you have to spend hours looking for the right strategy or looking for the right plays to be able to put into a parlay. If you guys want access to the trial to see exactly what I'm talking about and get your parlays within seconds, all you have to do is click the link in the description to start your trial today. And I promise you, you'll be using the Linemaker AI and you'll be getting all the right plays within seconds rather than spending all day doing manual work where you could still end up taking an L. As always, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.